It's horse beef. And I was just sitting here holding on to my Petr Yan plushie that my girlfriend got me. Beautiful, beautiful gift. I mean, I've been holding on to it. I've been sleeping with it. Yeah, I've been sleeping like a baby for the last few nights since I've had this thing, man. Believe me. Girlfriend's been sleeping on the couch since she got this for me, so she fucked up big time. But today I'm bringing you a breakdown of Petr Yan versus Deiveson Figueiredo, just giving you guys my general thoughts on the fight and why Petr Yan is going to win this one. Although, would it surprise me if Figgy won? Yes, absolutely it would, because Petr Yan, under any reasonable circumstances, should not be losing against anybody. He's simply one of the most skilled fighters in the world, in my opinion, and that's not even based on bias. Just based on the eye test alone, I think he is one of the most skilled fighters we have, even in his current state. If you base Petr Yan's skills off of how he looked against Song Yadong, I think that's a bit misleading because he did go into that fight with a ton of injuries, and I think since then he's gotten the needed surgeries and has recovered pretty well. It looks like he's looked good in his training footage, although it doesn't tell the whole story. Although he looks good. He looks in great physical condition, and he's in the prime of his life right now. So there's no reason why Petr Yan, with a win over Deiveson Figueiredo, should not be able to reclaim that title and become the GOAT of the sport, which he already is. It's just not confirmed yet, you know what I mean? But it's true. If you disagree, you're wrong. Petr Yan's a GOAT. Fuck you. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. But let me get into why I think Petr Yan's going to win, right? This fight is close. On paper, Deiveson Figueiredo has a lot to trouble Petr Yan, especially in the grappling, even though Petr Yan's one of the best scramblers in the world and is just really great at staying on his feet. At the same time, Deiveson Figueiredo is incredible at getting your back, and Petr Yan has shown, like against Aljamain Sterling, if you get his back, you can control him, right? And that is scary. That does spell some concern for me against Deiveson Figueiredo, and I can also see maybe, you know, Deiveson goes to the body, gets Petr Yan to collapse his guard in, you know, to defend those body shots. And I could even see Deiveson grabbing onto a neck and maybe a neck, as if Petr Yan has multiple necks, but, you know, Petr Yan's neck, and going for some kind of a guillotine, right? Because he does have a nasty guillotine. So I can see those two scenarios playing out. But the reason why I am so confident about Petr Yan's victory here is because of Deiveson's struggle against fighters with fast hands. Even against Cody Garbrandt, before he found success on the ground, right? There's a reason why he had to take the fight to the ground, because Cody was too quick for him. He couldn't really find his shot, and that is the huge drawback of Deiveson's style. He's a sniper with that right hand, 100%. He seems to always find a way to land it, right? Especially in the chaos, he's really good at finding his shots, left hand, right hand. He has power in everything that he throws. He just loads up on everything, but he still is capable of catching anybody, right? Even Petr Yan. That's why I say, man, you definitely cannot write off Figueiredo as much as I am confident of Petr Yan's victory here. Petr Yan is a great combination puncher and much faster than Figgy on the feet. Figgy, I believe he does have that one-hitter quitter power. It's clearly carried over. He dropped Chito Vera, although it was after Chito got beat up real bad by Sean O'Malley. So maybe the accumulative damage has gotten to Chito Vera at that point, but I do think that Figgy might be one of the biggest punchers in the division. And that spells danger for Petr in any scenario, really. If he relies on that high guard too much, he's going to have to slip his head up the center line, right? He has to slip those big right hands, because if he eats too many of those, like if Figgy loads up one of those right hands and just socks Petr Yan right through the guard, right through the middle of that high guard, I can see Petr getting hurt. I really can, even though he has a great chin. He's shown to have a great chin, and we've rarely seen Petr Yan in much danger on the feet throughout his career. Never been finished, right? I can still see Figgy putting a big shot on Petr and actually hurting him. I can see that. I can definitely see that. So Petr Yan has to be very defensively responsible, not just relying on the high guard, but slipping off. Although the major speed advantage, like I said, is with Petr Yan. As we can see, if you go watch all of Figgy's fights against Brandon Moreno, and there were 4 of them, so I'm kind of blanking on which ones were which, but I know the first one, and I believe the fourth one specifically, you can see him struggling big time against the combinations of Moreno, and I think that spells big danger for Figgy on the feet, right? The way he stands, he's there for his legs to be kicked. Petr Yan is a very good leg kicker. I think he's going to attack the body of Figgy, and I do think that he'll melt him in the later rounds. I do. I think the championship rounds, this type of fight, right, this length of a fight, a 5-round fight for Petr Yan is a beautiful setup for him, unless, of course, he's going up against somebody like a Merab Dvalishvili who never stops shooting takedowns, or Aljamain Sterling, who just will hold on for dear life for an entire round and just grind out the fight. I don't see Figgy doing that, right? I don't see that happening, and Figgy loves a war, right? Whenever the fight becomes scrappy, he loves that shit. So does Petr Yan. So I think as much as I can see this fight potentially being boring, more of a chess match, I can also see this fight being fireworks, right? Because both fighters are so consequential in there. Figgy more early on, while Petr really builds up as the fight goes, but he does need to start off a little quicker here. I do think he needs to get ahead of steam going quicker, attack the body early, chop down the legs early, as I said, and then start going to the head with those combinations. And yeah, honestly, man, as close as this fight could be on paper, right? Because I'm not writing off Figueiredo at all. I'm a fan of his. I think he's super high level and arguably should have been in the position to have a title shot anyway. I think the fight right now should have been Petr Yan versus Umar, right? In my opinion, that's one of the best fights that the UFC can put on right now as far as skill for skill. Imagine some of the exchanges, the grappling exchanges and striking exchanges between an Umar and a Petr Yan. I still think Petr Yan would also melt Umar later on in that fight. But I am putting my full faith in Petr Yan. I do think a fully recovered prime Petr Yan that we have right now. He's only 31 years old, man. He's not washed up. He's not at the age where a fighter is exactly washed up at these lighter weight classes. 31, this is around the age where fighters really do come into their prime. So I expect to see one of the best versions of Petr Yan. I expect him to shut up a lot of people. Anyone writing off Petr because what we've seen of him recently, man, you just can't do that, dude. You can't do that. Clearly, he was struggling with some kind of confidence issues, right? After the O'Malley robbery and then the Aljamain Sterling fights, right? All that, you can see that his confidence was diminished as a result. And then in that Song Yadong fight, it looked like we were seeing a similar version of him in that first round. Then he grew into that fight, grew confidence, got a win back, now is recovered. We're going to see the best version of Petr Yan yet. If we don't, then I might cry, because if he loses this fight, god damn it, man, this channel is done. This channel's finished. I put all my eggs in one basket. All my eggs in the Petr Yan basket, dude. So this channel is finished. I will retire from YouTube forever if he loses this fight. Probably not, but I might contemplate it at the end of the day. But that's my prediction. I do think Petr Yan's going to get this one done. I'm thinking, man, I want to give a specific finish prediction. I think in the 4th round. I think in the 4th round, Petr Yan will complete that snowball effect that he likes to put on his opponents. I think he'll put a beat down on Figgy later on. Figgy will slow down, right? He's already the much slower man, and he will slow down to a screeching halt, I believe, and this fight will be all Petr Yan by the 4th, and I believe he'll TKO Figueiredo. As tough as Figueiredo is, he can be finished. He can, right? Brandon Moreno finished him, although he was cutting a lot of weight, right? So, yeah, we've seen Figgy hurt on multiple occasions by someone like Brandon Moreno, who doesn't hit particularly hard, but like I said, though, the weight cut could definitely contribute to the chinniness of Figgy. But even at 125, he wasn't even that chinny. But he was hurt by Brandon Moreno, right? And we don't really see Brandon Moreno hurt many guys with his power, right? Because he's not that powerful, but he's very fast, right? And like I said, speed can stifle Figgy, and it will happen here 100%. Petr Yan is an animal. I believe he can scramble, deal with the grappling, and on the feet, it's all Petr Yan, dude. It will all be Petr Yan as long as he avoids those big right hands, those big loaded up right hands from Figueiredo. I really do think so. And I'll quickly go through the rest of the card with you guys and give you my predictions. I'm not going to get too much into detail, but it's a pretty good fight night card, dude. Now we have the first fight on the prelims here. Hayaser Mahashate. I don't know if that's how you say his name. I have no clue. Fuck, dude. Nicholas Mota. This is a tough fight to call. Not overly familiar with either of them, but I am going to pick Mahashate. Listen, is that how you say his name? I have no clue. Just let me know, man. But I'm going to pick him by decision, and then we get into Long Zhao versus Li Kang. This is a pretty cool fight too, but I'm picking Long Zhao. I'm going to be picking many of the Chinese fighters in this card. Yeah, a lot of them are favored to win a lot of these just stylistically, but Li Kang, I believe he's a Thai fighter who was recently signed by the UFC. Correct me if I'm wrong. Believe so. Lost his last fight. Didn't look as impressive as I was expecting. But yeah, I think Long Zhao, with the experience at 26 to have so many fights, man. These young Chinese fighters have extensive MMA records for their ages. We'll get into more of that. Ming Yang Zhang on the main card. Crazy extensive record for his age. I believe he's the same age as Long Zhao as well. Loner Kavanagh versus Jose Ochoa. Is that how you say his name? Is it just Loner? Listen, I don't know how to pronounce Irish names, and I can only assume he's Irish. But both men are 7-0. This one is a crazy toss-up just based off that alone. That's just insane circumstances. Both men with the exact same undefeated record. Crazy. I don't even know who to pick here. I'm going to pick Kavanagh. I'm gonna pick Kavanagh by decision as well. I don't think he'll finish the Mexican lad, but it's possible. Then we get into What? Where's this guy from? Mongolia? Yeah, it makes sense, man. Mongolia or Tibet. For some reason, these names are the strangest, the hardest to say, but also the scariest. I wouldn't want to go up against somebody with a name like this because I would just assume that they come from Genghis Khan's lineage. I have no clue, but I'm not even going to say his name, right? Actually, no, I'll give it a try. Niem Jargil Tumen... Holy shit. Tumen Demberel. There you go. That's the last time I'll say his name ever in my life. Carlos Hernandez. I'm picking that guy. I'm picking the 8-0 dude from Mongolia, and Hernandez could very well be on his way out of the UFC, and I think that the Mongolian fellow is just going to put it on him. He's going to win this one. I'm going to pick second round TKO. I know Carlos Hernandez is likely a Mexican fellow as well, but nah, man, this dude, his name is just insane. Sounds like an ancient warrior's name. He's going to get the finish, mark my words. Then we get into Ming Shi versus Feng Zhaocan. Are both of these ladies Chinese? I believe so. I'm going to go with the younger lady, Feng Zhaocan. If you've watched my breakdowns before, my foolproof method of picking female wins, I'm employing that again. If you know what it is, you know what it is. If not, then I won't explain it again, but she looks like a lesbian, so she'll win. And then we have Kiru Sohota versus Dong Hoon Choi, another undefeated prospect from Korea, I can only assume. And I'm going to pick the Korean lad, Dong Hoon Choi. First round TKO. I like these upcoming Korean fighters, man. They're looking great. From Japan as well. Honestly, Asia is pumping out some serious prospects recently. Then we get into Bergang, what the fuck? GLSC, I'm not even going to say his name, man. Versus Yu Su Young. See, I like those names, dude. Toss up, dude. Toss up. But ultimately, you know who I'm going to pick? I'm going to pick the dude whose name I cannot say. I'm going to pick it. Crazy, crazy reach advantage. He is much bigger, and I think he's just going to employ that. Yeah, he is very, very, very big for bantamweight, and that's really as simple as it is. I think he's going to completely run through Yu Su Young. I believe so. Zhang Minyang versus Ozzy Diaz. Now I'm very hot on Zhang Minyang. I think he is a future title challenger. I really do think so. You look at his record, 17-6. Many of his losses came early on in his career, and his career started very young, man. I believe he made his debut when he was like 16 years old, and a lot of his losses came before he turned 20. So, yeah, before he was a full-fledged grown man. Now he's a grown man, came into his own, and has looked like a world beater, man. Bombs in those hands, crisp boxing, some of the best boxing at 205, and I believe that he's going to pick up a first-round KO against Ozzy Diaz. Couldn't be more confident about a pick on this card, to be honest, besides Petr Yan, obviously, because he's going to run through Figgy. Then we get into Volkan Ozdemir versus Carlos Ulberg. Now, this one is perfect for Carlos Ulberg. I'm going to pick him second round KO. Yeah, I believe it's a simple pick, although you cannot sleep on Volkan because of his power. Although the length and the style of Carlos Ulberg, it's just perfect to pick apart somebody like Volkan Ozdemir and finish him early. I think it's going to happen. Then we get into Wang Kong versus Gabriel Fernandez, and I'm not even going to speak on this one too much. Wang Kong is going to clean out the division and be given the title shot pretty soon. She's an exciting prospect. She's one of the only exciting female prospects in the sport. And I know she's not a prospect technically. She's 32 years old. But she's a prospect, dude. She has scary power in those hands for a female fighter. It's nuts. Wang Kong is next up. Then we get into Song Kanan versus Muslim Salikov. Now, I actually like Salikov quite a bit. I like the king of Kung Fu. I like his style, and I usually pick him. Now, it's tough because I don't even really rate Song Kanan that much. You know what? Nah, I'm picking Muslim Salikov. I was going to pick all Chinese on this card, or mostly Chinese, but you know what? Song Kanan, I think Muslim Salikov's going to pick up a win here. I do think so. I think he's good. I think he's cleaner on the feet. Song Kanan does have the power. He does possess some power in those hands though, but Muslim Salikov I think will be too much on the feet. I think he's too crafty and sharp on the feet for Song Kanan. I think he's gonna get this one done. Although I don't know if he'll knock him out. You know, I'm gonna say decision. I think 29-28 Muslim Salikov. Then we get into Yan Xiaonan versus Tabitha Ritchie. Now this, you know, trust me, I'm a fan of Tabitha Ritchie's for obvious reasons, but she's getting beaten here. Yan Xiaonan, I believe, is head and shoulders above many of the other ranked strawweight fighters. She went to war with Zhang Weili and looked great in that fight. I just think she has too much for Tabitha Ritchie. I really do, and I think she's gonna get this one done. I'm gonna say by decision, but you know, Tabitha has a great smile though, so good for her. And we've already spoken about the main event, so we won't get into it, but that does conclude my thoughts on the UFC Fight Night Macau card. Very much looking forward to it. Although too early, it's too early, man. I wish that the times could be adjusted for me over here in Canada. I know the world doesn't revolve around Canada, but you know what? A man can dream, a man can hope. Although I will be watching the card. Too early to stream though, but streams will be coming pretty soon, guys. We're building up to that. But I appreciate you watching as always, and I'll see you on the next one.